Hey there everyone, it's Nina. Thanks for joining me today for another video. I am really excited to share today's project with you because I'm going to make a non-card project, but it's so much fun and such a festive way to utilize the brand new and exclusive Snowflake Rosette die set from Simon Says Stamp and Tim Holtz. Every December, Simon Says Stamp and Tim Holtz always bring out a beautiful die set as a collaboration that's available for a limited time, and this year is no exception. The Snowflake Rosette die is spectacular and makes a beautiful focal point on a card project or mixed media piece, but it also is fantastic for making beautiful gifts such as ornaments or decor such as a garland. I'm going to be showing you how I made my snowflakes today and then turned them into both projects. So to get this beautiful Snowflake Rosette die set, all you have to do is purchase $30 or more of Tim Holtz branded products over at Simon Says Stamp because it is exclusive to simonsaystamp.com. You can get that then free with your purchase. The die set is automatically added to your cart, and then once you receive it, you can go to town creating with this die. I'm going to tell you right now, it is addicting. I have been making a gazillion of these snowflakes. So this is what's in the die set. You've got a long rectangular piece that you're actually going to repeat and cut 3 times, and then you'll glue them all together, just like making any other rosette. And that'll form the outside shape of the snowflake. But then you've got the circle base that you glue everything onto, and then you have a nice decorative piece to go in the middle, which hides the hole. All right, so to work with this, I'm going to die cut from Tim Holtz Ideology papers. I love the vintage charm and nostalgic designs on these papers, and so I'm going to utilize these today to build my snowflakes. And as you can see, I've already made a whole bunch of them off screen. I have set this up in my living room, and every night I'm just sitting there making more snowflakes. It's so much fun. In addition to the ideology papers, I also have pretty glitter and metallic cardstocks that I'm going to add as accents. And then these are the ideology backdrops. So these are from the 2025 and also the 2024 collections. I don't believe 2024 is still available. You may be able to find it somewhere, but definitely the 2025 I have here as well. And that has very similar designs in it. Actually, some of them I think do repeat. So I'm going to be grabbing papers from both collections just because I have them both in my stash. But if you don't want to utilize the ideology papers, you can also use any pattern paper you want for this. This die assembles beautifully with many different types of cardstocks. Simon Says Stamp actually has a lightweight cardstock specifically for this die, which I'll link to as well. So if you wanted to try that out too, there's a beautiful lightweight cardstock that works beautifully with this die set. So I'm going to go through and using my mini die cut machine, I'm going to cut out these snowflake pieces with the ideology papers. I'm cutting 3 strips, so that'll build my snowflake. When you die cut, the score lines are already created for you. So then all you'll have to do after die cutting is just run through and fold along all those score lines and you'll be done. It's so simple and easy to put these together. In addition to the strips, I'm also going to need to cut something to be the base of my snowflake, which really honestly does not matter what color cardstock you cut it from. Sometimes I cut it from white and then other times I cut it from a colored cardstock that more closely matched the papers I was using, but you're not going to see it because it's on the back side. Then I'm also cutting a metallic or glitter piece that's going to be a beautiful decorative accent to the front of my snowflake. Run both of those through my die cut machine, and for a project like this with smaller dies, it's so handy to have the mini die cut machine right here to use because you don't have to crank through as many times and it doesn't take up as much space on your desk. So I have all my pieces die cut. We're ready to start assembling, but I want to show you the score lines here first. You can see how they are made when you run this through and die cut, which is so convenient. So now all you're going to do is accordion fold this paper along the score lines. And as you can see, I'm also not folding along the snowflake tips. I'm just folding along the flat areas. I'm not folding along the detailed areas. This is just my preference. I liked the look of this better, but if you want to, you can go ahead and fold all the way along the entire piece. But you're going to accordion fold all 3 of your strips. Once you've done that, we need to start gluing them together. I'm going to put glue along the entire piece of this beautiful little detailed area of the snowflake. I'm going to overlap the next piece with that detailed area and allow that glue to dry. I am going to give it a really good press, make sure it's lined up perfectly, and you can use the bottom edge of your snowflake chain here as a guide for making sure that it's lined up 100% perfectly. And then you can come back in with the next strip, do the exact same thing, matching up those two ends that have the same decorative shape. When we have our chain of 3, then on one end of it, we're going to add a little bit of liquid glue and meet it up with the other end of the chain. Overlap those pieces together and again, sandwich that with the liquid glue. And then that will leave us with this piece here that looks an awful lot like a crown, but we're going to flatten this out and turn it into a snowflake. So we definitely need to have our little circle piece here. I'm adding hot glue to this because I find hot glue is the easiest to work with. It does dry quickly, so you don't want to waste too much time. But you want to gather your snowflake into a rough shape and then sandwich that on top of the liquid glue, the hot glue, and then start shaping it as the glue starts to cool. Once you have a general shape, you can just go ahead and hold it in place to make sure that it dries in the shape that you want. I really love how each one of these turns out a little bit different, but it creates such a beautiful dimensional piece that came together honestly in no time at all. Once you start making these, you're just going to want to keep making them. Now I need to cover up the center hole of my snowflakes here. I've got a couple here ready to go. So I've got my decorative piece that's going to get layered over top, and I just used hot glue for that as well, just because it dries so quickly. You don't have to wait for it to dry. And then that's going to leave me with these beautiful pieces that I could either leave as is, or I can step it up and decorate them a little further, which is what I decided to do. I love old vintage buttons. I have a stash of buttons that I have collected from old clothes, or maybe I found a bag of them in the thrift store, and I just save them because so many times I have found I reach for them for a project and I'm so glad that I have them. So I have picked out a variety of different old buttons that I had from my collection, and I am gluing them to the center of each of my snowflakes for a fun little touch that really elevates the design. This one is fabric, so it really has a nice texture to it. And then this one here is a plastic button, but it has a beautiful rib design in it. And I thought that layered up so beautifully on top of this snowflake. It really brings out the red. And you can get really creative with how you layer up these buttons. I actually had this flat red button here, which I thought would look really cool layered up behind this small green one. So I'm just going to stack 2 of them together to form that beautiful layering, and it really draws out the colors in this paper. Lots of fun ways that you can decorate the center of your snowflake. You could also use gems or sequins too. That would be beautiful. Now I love adding glitter for the holidays. Can you check out this snowflake and see the little sparkle along the top folds of each of the ridges of the snowflake? I decided to add distressed rock candy glitter to these snowflakes for a little bit of extra sparkle charm. So to make it easy on myself, I did put all of my distressed rock candy glitter into a little bucket, and I have a spoon, and that spoon is going to be helpful in helping me scoop the glitter onto the snowflake. I am putting adhesive, which is glossy accents, on top of all of the folds of the snowflake, and then I'm also dragging a little bit of glue to the very tips of the snowflake as well, just so that way the glitter will adhere to that and add a little bit of extra sparkle all the way down the snowflake. The Distress Rock Candy has that magical glitter finish to it, and I just love how it catches the light. So I'm just being very careful to hold it on the sides, so that way I don't stick my finger into the wet glue and glitter. This is such a fun way to add sparkle to this piece, especially for a garland or a snowflake ornament that's going to be hanging from the tree. You're going to have the Christmas lights sparkling on this beautifully. So I glittered every single one of my snowflakes, set them aside to dry, and then it was time to add the hanger. Now, if you're going to form a garland, I would suggest using a twine, and you're going to go ahead and just chain these together, tie a little knot over each snowflake as you go through the chain. That helps keep them from shifting down the chain. But if you wanted to turn these into ornaments, you could also use beautiful ribbons or twine to tie these into little hangers. So what I did was I tied a knot, which is attaching the twine or ribbon to the snowflake itself. You just want to be careful not to tie it too tight so you actually rip your snowflake. But then you're going to just go ahead and take those two ends after tying your knot and then form another knot up at the top, so that way that will create the loop. And then this way the snowflake will face outward. You won't have it turned sideways when you are hanging this on your tree. I always find doing the knot first at the base of the snowflake is the best way to get the right orientation for when this actually gets hung on the tree. In addition to the twine, I really did love using some thin ribbons, which I have a collection of in my stash of just things that I've saved over the years or have bought somewhere. I love little details like this where you match up the ribbon or twine to the style of the ornament, and it creates such a beautiful finish to these pieces. I had so much fun making these. I am still making these snowflakes because they are such a great gift to give for the holiday season. So not only do I have a collection of them sitting on my tree, but I'm also making a whole bunch more that I can give away as gifts to friends and family this year. Such a fun way to be able to use your creative, crafty pieces to make holiday festive decor or gifts for the season. In addition to the ornaments, I did also create a garland, as I alluded to earlier. I loved how this turned out. It was so easy to do. You just use twine for the string of the garland, and then you're just going to thread each of your ornaments on top. Oscar agrees. He really liked this too. He also thought it was fun to play with, hanging from the mantle. But you're just going to string your snowflakes onto the twine, and then I did tie a knot on the base of each snowflake as I strung them on, just to make sure that they didn't shift along the string. So that way when I hang this up, the snowflakes are staying in the right place and they have the right spacing. They're not sliding back and forth. But it's such a beautiful handmade detail that looks fantastic hanging from your mantle, or you could hang this across maybe a cabinet. Also would make such a beautiful little trail of snowflakes on a table setting. Lots of beautiful ways you can utilize a garland like this. I hope you had fun seeing these pieces come together. From all the little details of the pattern papers to the beautiful glittery finish on the snowflakes themselves, and then we have fun buttons and papers mixed across each of these. Every one of these snowflakes is unique and has a fun design to it. So I hope you were inspired by the projects that I've shared today. I am so glad that you stopped by. Don't forget, you can get this Snowflake Rosette die set from Simon Says Stamp only. It is an exclusive die set designed by Tim Holtz and is available for a limited time only. You can get the snowflake by purchasing $30 or more of the Tim Holtz branded products over at Simon Says Stamp. Well, friends, thanks so much for tuning in today. I will be back very soon with more to share. But until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day, and thanks so much for watching.